Hi everyone, we are back with another video. Let's go. It's been a little second, not too long, but I'm excited to get back into this. Today we are reacting to Geography Now, Romania. I know where it is. I don't really know much about it, so I'm excited. This is going to be good, so let's do this.
If any of you have ever had a family reunion, you all know what it's like to have a Romania show up. It's like...
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're in a cold, dark castle or a tropical beach with margaritas. If you're Latin, you're part of the family.
Okay.
It's time to learn geography
Now!
Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbs. No, I'm not gonna make any Dracula jokes, and do not call these people Slavs, and no, unless they actually are gypsy, do not call Romanians gypsies.
Yeah, we hate that, and they only make up like 3% of our population.
Yeah, and don't call us gypsy.
Oh my
we
gosh.
prefer Roma or Romani.
Okay, I have heard of that. I was actually talking to my chat about this earlier. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, if you like the video, like and subscribe, come see me on Twitch, all that stuff. Wow, I am like out of the habit. But yeah, apparently gypsy is kind of, I guess it's not offensive if you're talking to a gypsy, obviously. But I didn't realize that Romania, I don't know, that they were known for that, apparently. I never would have put that together. The Dracula thing, sure, I have heard of that. But very interesting.
That's too close to Romanian. Just stick with gypsy. That's how this whole mess got started to begin with.
Well, Europeans gave us that title gypsy by mistaking us for Egyptians.
Then what do you want to be called?
Is that why they're called gypsies? Because they were mistaken for Egyptians? Oh. Huh. I never heard of that. Have you guys heard that before? That's very interesting. Okay, so it was the... Wait, Rami? Hold on. Roma or Romani?
Roma or Romani. That's too close to Romanian.
Okay,
Just
cool.
By mistaking us for Egyptians.
Then what do you want to be called?
Roma or Romani?
Oh, Romani.
So yeah, anyway,
Roma.
let's look at the globe.
So would you say Romas? Or would you say a bunch of Roma? Is the plural also just Roma? Or is plural Romas? Do you guys know? I'd love to know. I'd love to call them what they want to be called, right? That is confusing, though.
Globe and see where Romania is on the map, shall we? Romania is unique because it's not only positioned in a weird spot, but it's culturally isolated. It's like the easternmost point of Latin influence. Quite a story, and it all starts in Europe.
Romania is the 12th
Interesting.
largest country in Europe, located at the crossroads between what is considered Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe. So it's hard to give it a single regional title, but
Yeah.
for what it's worth, it borders 5 other countries and the Black Sea to the east. The nation is divided into 41 counties with their own city councils. However, to make things easier, the counties are kind of clustered into 8 development regions, which don't actually have any administrative power, but rather tie groups of counties together to facilitate economic activity. Culturally speaking, though, Romania is also kind of divided into 3 general historical regions: Moldavia, Wallachia, and the well-known Transylvania. Yes, Transylvania. We'll talk about that later. The capital, Bucharest, located in the south, acts as its own county, and of course has the highest population of any city. Here you can also find the largest international airport, Henry Coanda International. Otherwise, in the second largest city, Cluj-Napoca, in the northeast, you can find the second busiest airport, Avram Iancu International. And of course, in the third largest city, Timișoara, you can find the third busiest airport, Tiraien Voie International.
How do you
Otherwise,
say any
anything
of these?
shipping related usually comes in from the Black Sea, with the largest port, the port of Constanța, which is also the largest shipping port on the Black Sea. Keep in mind, just a skip away, port of Constanța.
They pronounce it Constanța, the T with an accent on the bottom? Have I even noticed that before? Constanța. That is interesting. Okay.
Which is also the largest shipping port on the Black Sea. Keep in mind, just a skip away is Snake Island, that Romania and Ukraine had a small dispute over that finally got resolved in 2009. Ukraine won. Dang. Anywho,
What do they
the
even
country
do
has a
with that?
wide,
Yeah.
extensive rail and road network that reaches every neighboring nation. Disputedly, the busiest road being the A2 and A3 roads, linking the Black Sea to Bucharest and further to Hungary, traversing the Carpathian Mountains.
Otherwise,
sense.
Romania is unique because the country in itself didn't always look the way it did. There's Moldavia, not to be confused with Moldova, although Moldova does get its historical name from that area. There's also
Interesting.
Wallachia and the infamous Transylvania. That's right, Transylvania is in Romania.
Look how
But it
cool.
should belong to Hungary.
We'll get to that later. Now, Romania is definitely not shy of making landmarks and sites of interest that stick out, and they take many aesthetic cues from multiple people groups. You'll see buildings that look French, buildings that look Slavic, some that look German, and some that just kind of do their own thing. For what it's worth though, here are some of the top spots you guys, the Romanian geography, suggested we mention. The Palace of Parliament, the National Heroes Mausoleum, the Gates of Iron, Constanța Casino, the Silly Cemetery of
Did they say the silly cemetery?
the National Heroes Mausoleum, the Gates of Iron, Constanța Casino, the Silly Cemetery of Maramureș. This
Why do they call it silly? If it's a cemetery, is it silly? What does it mean? Is it fake? Somebody explain to me, because I feel like calling a silly cemetery silly, no matter what it looks like, is interesting. So I'd love to learn more about that. Somebody tell me in the comments, please. That was surprising.
pole thing, Salina Turda, this ancient Dacian site, the King Decibel statue, the Tunnel of Love, this really cool bookstore, this ancient temple. Sibiu is like the most Transylvanian city you can get. Houses even have eyes on them. So many churches like
Creepy.
these, including one that was built into a cliff and the tallest wooden
yeah.
church in the world. Brasov and Rashnov
Wow.
also have those cool citadels and churches. They even have those Hollywood signs on hills. There's so many castles, many of which are said to be haunted, but the most famous one
Yes.
probably being Bran Castle, or Dracula's Castle. Yes, the
Okay,
famous
Bran,
Dracula
oh.
Castle, which is not even mentioned as the home of Dracula in the book, and it was written by an Irish guy. And Vlad the Impaler was just an inspiration of Dracula. He wasn't actually Dracula, and he never even
Okay.
set foot in this castle.
Will you
No wonder I didn't know the name of the castle. That makes a lot more sense now. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
shut up? Don't give away our secret. This creepy gimmick makes us a lot of money.
By the way, guys, this is Jason. He taught me motion graphics and helped me launch the entire channel.
He's a vampire!
Oh, bad. Yeah, lots of creepy haunted sites going on. And it doesn't stop with the buildings. They have entire forests that people are afraid to step into. Which brings us to...
Interesting. I wonder what YouTubers have gone there to like do ghost hunting. You know, I wonder how many people go to Romania, because a lot of people will do ghost hunting and things like that. They'll have entire YouTube channels on it. I wonder how many people choose Romania as an area. I don't know if I've seen that before, but that would be kind of fascinating.
Romania is kind of like the land of legend and electricity. They have so many myths, yet they move forward with the age of energy. They were actually the first European country to have electric streetlights, and they even have a Prometheus
Wow.
statue holding a lightning bolt. For what it's worth, though,
The nation is about evenly divided by plains, hills, and mountains, with the mighty Carpathian Mountains, the third largest chain in Europe, dominating the north and central parts. Here you can find the highest peak, Mount Moldovano, in the hook of the southern Carpathians. From there, there's one little detached cluster of mountains in the northeast, known as the Apuseni Mountains, which effectively makes
Pretty.
the hills of Romania kind of look like Pac-Man. And in these Apuseni Mountains, you can find
Pac-Man, huh? I feel like that looks like a heart or a liver or something before it looks like Pac-Man to me. I never would have thought of that. But wholesome.
Garishwara, which claims to be the largest underground glacier in the world. These mountains are essentially formed by the smaller Carpathian micro-fault line within the larger Eurasian tectonic plate. This is also what explains how, even though Romania is inland, it has small distinct areas of geothermal activity, such as the mud volcanoes of Berka and small
I've heard of the mud volcanoes. My sister lives in Azerbaijan right now, and they were sending pictures of mud volcanoes in that area. So that's cool that they have them in Romania as well. Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of them before until like literally 2 days ago. Awesome. Very fascinating.
hot springs in the west side of the country. Between these mountains and hills, you have the Transylvanian Plateau, where you can find the largest non-shared river fully within Romania, the Mureș River. However, on the east and south sides, you have the Moldavian and Wallachian plains, where the longest river shared with Bulgaria, the mighty Danube,
that's
flows
the
into the Black
border, it
Sea.
looks
Along
like.
the Black Sea coast, you get the flattest and incredibly beautiful Danube Delta area, the second largest delta in Europe after the Volga, and is considered the most well-preserved. This area in itself is a biosphere reserve and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is the largest continuous marshland in Europe and has over 1,600 plant species alone. This whole flat marshy area along the coast is also known as the Dobruja region. Here you can find what is considered the largest lake of Romania, known as Lake Razelm, which is actually a freshwater lagoon known as a liman. This lake actually used to be connected to the Black Sea as a salty lagoon, but in the 70s, a thin land barrier was built to keep the Black Sea out, which has now changed the ecological conditions drastically, making it a freshwater lake. Overall, if you zoom out, it's a relatively lush European country.
And with that, it's time for my triple shot espresso break. Noah usually comes in for this segment, but unfortunately he's still out visiting family. So how about we add some pumpkin spice to this order, shall we? Bibbidi-bibbidi-bop second.
Get it? Pumpkin. In the shortest way to summarize it, Romania started out as a shaky post-communist state that many people didn't know how to interact with, essentially joining the EU
wait, sorry.
and post.
That was so cheesy. I didn't even pay attention to what he was saying. Okay, let's restart. Focus in. Whew, we got this.
Pumpkin. In the shortest way to summarize it, Romania started out as a shaky post-communist state that many people didn't know how to interact with. Essentially joining the EU in 2007 really helped. It was like,
All right, so we just had a revolution. Communism is gone. We'd like to join your party. Here's our application.
everything seems to be in order, but you do have some sprucing up to do.
Oh, okay, just hear me out. We're going through legislative reforms. We're opening up a free market. And just to prove we're dedicated, we even put visa regimes on countries like Russia and Turkey.
You have to wait 14 years, you won't be Schengen, and you have to use your own currency.
Woohoo! I'll take it.
Hey, what the Romania? You totally ditched me back there. If he's in, I'm in. And that's how lots of money started flowing to Romania. Today, Romania is the largest electronics producer in Central and Eastern Europe. Due to the highly fertile land, Romania has lots of cheap and abundant produce. Often at the end of harvest season, you will see huge stacks of things like cabbage and watermelon. I love watermelon with lemon. So do you, Paul. I know you do.
Oh, yeah.
They are one of the most underrated
know if I've had that.
wine-producing countries in the world, usually around 12th place in overall world production. Theoretically, Romania has the third highest capacity for geothermal energy on continental Europe after Greece and Italy.
Ahem.
I said continental. You're an island and not even fully in Europe, okay? Otherwise, as a very lush and forested nation, Romania is home to numerous animal species like foxes, hares, bats. Remember good old Wojtek? Well,
Bats.
Romania has the largest population of brown bears in the world outside of Russia. And keeping up with the spooky theme, Romania has quite a few haunted or cursed natural sites. The two most famous ones probably being the Witch's Pond. Okay, that's a bad witch voice as well. Where scary things are said to happen, and even animals won't drink from it or go near it. Yeah, okay. And
The Hoya.
Hoya.
Well, I wonder if the water's bad. It looks dirty, honestly, but I don't know. Maybe there's another reason as well. Also, why is it witches? Did they used to do things to witches there, or maybe they thought that witches were there and cursed it or something? I wonder where that came from.
You know we have a Ho rainforest where I'm from? Yeah, it's called the Ho rainforest. And Hoya Forest, labeled the most haunted forest in the world, where people have seen everything from monsters, ghosts, UFOs, and even a portal that leads to an alternate universe. I don't believe it. How can you have monsters and UFOs in the same place?
Also, did you go through the portal and did you see that it was an alternate universe, and then did you come back somehow? Like, how do you know that that portal led to where you claimed it led to? Anyway, I think that this kind of stuff is kind of funny. Like, it's interesting. I think that the human brain is very, very powerful, and people, can spook themselves out. But I don't know. I just haven't experienced anything like that. And I know that I used to have a very, very vivid memory. Not a vivid memory. A very intense imagination. There we go. Oh my gosh. I don't know. You never know. But I don't really believe in that kind of stuff.
So anyway, yeah. Food!
Yeah.
Some top dishes
you.
that you guys suggested include maize porridge, plum dumplings, these really cool ground meat rolls, placenta paste porridge. Yeah,
Hold on.
food. Some top dishes that you guys suggested
Tell
include
me that this
maize
does not
porridge,
look like
plum dumplings,
just
these
turds. Ground meat roll things, aka meat turds. I think that's probably what they should actually be called. They honestly kind of look yummy, but they're a funny shape.
These really cool ground meat rolls, placenta pastries, placenta. Let's do placenta,
Okay, thank
tokitura
you.
stew, jellified meat platters.
No, 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 no. That looks so disgusting. That looks bad. That looks like you just took your bowl of meat and gravy out of the refrigerator and you just plopped it on without heating it up. Bon appetit. Yuck.
Organ meatloaf, and the national dish sarmala, which was actually brought over from the Turks during the Ottoman times, but Romanians, mostly being Christian, stuff it with pork. So that's kind of a unique Romanian twist, I guess. And things get even more twisty once you learn about the people, which brings us to...
Thank you, Art.
You're welcome, Barbie. Send me home.
All right. Bob Saget.
I can't do it. I
The
cannot do
Romanians have a
it.
saying. They are a Latin island in a Slavic sea. If you look at the position of Romania on the map, literally everyone surrounding them is not like them. But we'll get into that later.
That's
First,
interesting.
Romania has just about 19.5 million people and has seen a 16.2 population decrease since its peak in 1991 at 23 million. The majority of the country, at about 88%, identifies as Romanian to whatever degree, whether it be one or both parents being Romanian. After that, the second largest minority group would be the Hungarians, and more specifically, the Sike people, found mostly in the Transylvanian area. After that, the Roma, Romani, often called Gypsy, come in at third place at around
I need to remember
3%,
that.
and the rest are a bunch of other groups like Ukrainians, Germans, and general Europeans, and very few non-Europeans.
now, even though they are part of the EU, they are not part of the Eurozone, and they use their own currency, the Romanian leu. They use the type C and F plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Now,
Really quickly, I wonder if anybody knows what countries are raising in population versus losing population. Because I feel like for the most part, I feel like a lot of countries usually kind of their population grows and grows. But I wonder what percentage of countries in the world, you know, see their population rising right now or plummeting, or I wonder how that's going. Because I think that even though people are having less kids here, I think the population is still growing here. And the population is growing just in the world in general. So I wonder why Romania's population is decreasing. Kind of interesting. Anyway, let me know if you know. And if you don't know, then oh well.
Now back to the identity thing, even though Romanians hate being called Slavs, they have to kind of admit Slavic culture has kind of put a major dent in their upbringing and identity. I mean, somewhere around 15% of their language is Slavic based. On top of that, like most Slavs, Romania and Moldova are the only Latin-based Orthodox predominant nations on Earth.
Huh, it's like we're backwards versions of each other.
How did all of this happen though? Well, to summarize,
The area of what is now Romania was known in antiquity as Dacia or Dacia, inhabited by Dacians, which were basically cousins to the mysterious Thracian people. History doesn't record too much about them, but they were known for having interesting customs, warfare techniques. Spartacus was a Thracian, and many of them were known for being redheads.
Whoa, ancient ginger warriors? That's pretty cool.
Then in like the 2nd century BC, the Romans came in and pretty much destroyed everything and made it their province, moved a ton of Romans in, and Romanized everything.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
This is essentially how the land of Romania became the easternmost point of Latin influence in Europe. Over time, Slavic tribes migrated south after the Roman Empire fell, but they avoided the Carpathian and Black Sea coast, which they knew were Latin strongholds. After gaining ground in the Balkans, this essentially isolated Romania from every other Latin-based area, which kind of explains how they became a distinct people group.
so that's basically how it all went down. Then we get to the CK people, the second most populous minority. Yes, that's how you pronounce it.
CK.
Basically
Okay.
cousins of the Hungarians. These people are steadfast in holding on to their culture, language, and claim over the Transylvanian region known as CK land. They even have their own flag. Today it's not such a big deal,
Wow.
but once every so often you might get a little bit of tension between the Romanians and the CK. On top of that, Romania was a previous kingdom that ended in 1947 with King Michael I being the last king until he was forcibly abdicated by the Communist Party. Context, Hannah wanted to be the king of Romania in this skit.
Well, good to have you visit, Your Highness. But are you
dear.
sure you don't want to seek asylum here?
No, no, thank you. I shall return. My people will listen to me and respect my title.
Very well. Safe travels.
Sign this paper saying you won't be king anymore. We'll kill you.
Well, I tried.
And today there are actually 3 people that can technically claim heir to the former monarch of Romania. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Now it's time for Random Hannah with culture stuff.
Nah, Now, with Romanian culture. It gets a little intense because they are saturated in myth and legend, especially with major life events like birth, marriage, and even death. Some of the traditions include things like, for a kid's first birthday, it is common to cut a lock of hair from the baby and keep it forever. Also, people might give offerings to the fate fairies by leaving gifts on the windowsill. Romania.
I think that a lot of parents actually do that here too. They'll like keep their kids' hair. Why? Where? It's kind of interesting. I never really thought much about it, but that's, yeah. It's kind of funny to me. Did any of you guys do that? And I can talk.
Romanian weddings are also pretty extreme. It's common for the bride to get kidnapped by friends of the family for a silly ransom. During the kidnapping, the bride just kind of hangs out and drinks at a bar or something. I watched some YouTube videos about that, but then the girl's like happy at the end. It's weird, okay? And there are so many other small customs and festivals like the Midsummer Festival.
Oh, I have heard of this kind of thing. Okay, so my question about the bride getting kidnapped, you know, on her wedding or whenever that is it like to, you know, have the groom prove that he will fight for her or something like that? Like, what's the point of that? She's like, I gotta get away. I'm sorry. Can we make this a thing? I need a drink. I don't know. That is so funny to me. Very, very unique. Tradition, I think.
Festival where women dress in white. The Kaloi Anul rain-making ritual performed by children after Easter or a hot day. Christmases are very important to them. In Romania, they go buck wild, making as much noise
Literally.
as possible, wearing costumes, sometimes having whips and carrying staffs to ward off evil spirits. There's also that festival where the dudes wear women's clothing and masks with loud bells and they parade to ward off disease and evil spirits. On St. Andrew's Day, it's common to eat garlic and spread garlic all over the house to ward off the
Evil spirits.
Yes, as well as the stigoi, which are like Romanian zombies. Superstitions, charms, and so on are heavily ingrained in their upbringing. In fact, they even have a 16% black magic income tax for anyone that works in the profession, such as fortune telling or witchcraft. Now, every region of Romania has their own folk costumes, which generally look pretty similar, but you'll notice they all kind of have like a Balkan Slavic influenced style. Romania also has 4 Nobel Prize winners, and they are known for quite a few inventions such as insulin, car wheels that are positioned on the inside of a car's frame, and the fountain pen. And now to Keith's music segment. But actually, guys, Keith is not here. He's in Germany. Will he make it on this episode of Geography Now? Stay tuned in the next 2 seconds to find out.
Yeah, no, Keith is still not here. He,
Oh, okay. Sorry I'm late. Did I miss anything?
Noah's
Oh,
back.
yay.
No, actually, since Keith is not here, why don't you take the music segment?
You got it. Let's get this party started,
He's
shall
prepared.
we?
Okay.
Oh, yes. Here we go. As an isolated Latin people group, surrounded mostly by Slavs, traditional music in Romania has always had a noticeable Eastern and Balkan European twang to it. Stringed instruments are probably the most preferred form of musical device, and even for percussion. This stringed instrument is commonly used. Some of the most common
How do you say it?
musical device, and even for percussion. This
I was hoping you'd say it. Kimbalum? Kimbalum? What is that? That looks really, really cool. But yeah, I definitely don't know at all what Romanian music would sound like. Not any idea.
stringed instrument is commonly used. Some of the most common folk styles include Doina, or the shepherd's longing song, and the song of the elders. Each region has kind of their own version of these styles. After World War II, they really started to dabble outside the folk and classic genres and started the Musica Ușoară Romanesca period, which means easy Romanian music. George Enescu being one of the prominent figures during this time, regarded as one of, if not the most important icon of Romanian musicians. After the fall of communism and opening up to the world, Romania dabbled even further with so many new brands and singers emerging into genres like rock, pop, house, and underground, and disputedly the most prevalent genre, electronic. Today there are about 10 major nationwide electronic music festivals found all over Romania, like Noise, Untold, and the biggest one, the After Hills Music and Arts Festival. Fun fact, you know that Numa Numa song? Yeah, that takes you back about 10 years, right? Well, that band called Ozone was actually a Moldovan band with one Romanian guy. But I mean, Moldova, Romania, they're like basically the same people.
Yes, you are. You know you are. You're basically one of us. Yes, you are.
Yeah, but
There is no but. You are one of us.
And there's lots of other Romanian musicians and bands, and we'll mention them later in the famous people section. Now, it's back to you, old barbs.
Here we go. All right, so in the quickest way I can summarize the history of Romania, Dacia, Roman Empire, tribal migration, Middle Ages, split into 3, Ottomans, Austro-Hungarians, Russians came in, World War I, country unites. Things look good until boom, World War II. Lose parts of what were formerly parts of the country, satellite USSR, Soviets banish royal family, really bad communist years, dictator deposed, democratic elections, European Union in 2007, and here we are today. Some famous people you guys, the Romanian geography suggested we mention in this episode include, full disclosure, I'm gonna probably mispronounce everything, Klaus Ioannis, Gica Hagi, Nadia Comaneci, Simona Halep, Christian Mungiu, Corneliu Porumboiu, Ilina Stase, Ina, Alexandra Stan, Marius Moga, Sebastian Stan, that one was easy.
Okay.
Dustin
I know
Hoffman's
that one.
parents are from Romania, Stan Lee's parents, Sergiu Niculescu, Gopo, Amza and Oana Pelea, Dem Radulescu, Jean Constantin, Andreea Esca, Angela Georgiou. I am so sorry, Romanians. I can't. But
Scale of 1 to 10, how did he do with the pronunciation? Tell me.
anyway, a lot of Romanians and a lot of friends
would
that
have
the
done
Romanians
worse.
have made over the years. Let's find out who they are. When it comes to friends, Romanians have a saying, their only best friend is the Black Sea, because it never tried to invade them. In all seriousness though, recent changes in the past 3 centuries have drastically changed the way how they operate their diplomacy.
For one, after dropping communism and becoming a member of NATO and the EU, of course relations with other EU members have grown since the 2000s, and although they are one of the less wealthier EU states, their GDP and quality of life has risen thanks to heavy investments and loans offered by the EU. This of course has strained relations with Russia. Romania was once part of the Warsaw Pact that essentially cooperated with the former Soviet Union until the early 90s when everything broke apart. Not only that, but the whole conflict with Transnistria in Moldova only heightened tensions between Romania and Russia over time. Serbia is kind of like the only neighbor they have that they are pretty cool with, as no major conflicts have ever arisen between the two. Romania also sides with Serbia's dispute in the whole Kosovo conflict. With Bulgaria, it's kind of like they suffer together as the lowest ranking EU states in terms of quality of infrastructure. They're not even allowed to be part of the Schengen or Eurozone yet. As Danube River and Black Sea neighbors with a shared history of dealing with Ottoman Empire years, they do as much as they can to keep each other afloat. For what it's worth though, Romania loves to meet up with their distant cousins, the Italians and Spanish. When they meet up, it's like something just clicks and they get each other, even though they have completely different clothing and customs. On top of that, they have a huge crush on France, but France is like hardcore friend zoning them. Before English became the second most commonly spoken language, French was actually way more popular. They copied lots of French style architecture, they adopted French words, and they pretty much copy-pasted the French Constitution. When it comes to their best friends though, almost every Romanian has told me it's not even a friend, it's not even family. Moldova is basically the same as Romania. Moldovans are essentially the closest people, their closest brothers and sisters. They basically speak the same language. Moldova just has a little bit more of a Russian influence. They love sharing a glass of wine, and no matter how detached they are from the rest of the Latin world, at least they have each other.
In conclusion, with
That was one of the saddest friend zones I've ever seen on Geography Now. Seems like Romania doesn't get along very well with a lot of people. Dang, that's really interesting. It sounds like their history's been through a lot, too, though, with just everybody around them. Man, rough stuff.
Romania, you do get the land of electricity and myths and legend, so much folklore, yet so many crazy things that have happened that made them into who they are. Stay tuned, Russia, the big guy, is coming up next.
That'd be an interesting one, too. Okay, Romania. Very interesting. Yeah, it does sound like it's kind of a conflicted country with different cultures kind of like clashing, but kind of working together at the same time. Really interesting. I definitely did not know about the whole kind of superstitions part of it. That's fascinating to me. I don't think I've seen that in any of these Geography Now videos, which I'm kind of surprised. I feel like maybe Italy or somebody would have that as well, but maybe this one's just real intense. I don't know, but kind of fascinating. So definitely let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if I may have misunderstood anything or if they got anything wrong. Just let me know if there's anything that's been updated since then, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much, guys. Bye!